In the shadows where truth and tales intertwine, we find the thrilling, the chilling, the downright spine-tingling. From the paranormal to the peculiar, every echo has a story. Dare to delve into the unexpected, the unexplained? Brace yourself, for you're about to embark on a journey where fear meets fascination. Stay tuned if you dare, for stories that will make your heart race and your mind ponder. Welcome to the realm of the eerie, the realm of the unknown. And remember, like and subscribe, if you dare. In the heart of the dense, shadowy forest, I was on the trail of a serial kidnapper who had been eluding the authorities for years. The moon, peeking through the thick canopy of trees, cast an eerie glow on the forest floor, making the shadows dance like specters in the night. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves and the distant hooting of an owl. I'm Special Agent Dennis, retired now, but back then I was deep in the wilderness, pursuing a case that had haunted the Bureau for far too long. The kidnapper's elusive nature had led me away from the bustling city streets and into the heart of the forest, a place where even the trees seemed to whisper warnings of the danger that lay ahead. The clues had pointed me towards a small, secluded cabin nestled deep within the forest, a place so remote that it was almost swallowed by the surrounding wilderness. This was the alleged hideout of the kidnapper, a place where no one would dare to venture, a place where evil had found a home amidst the serene beauty of nature. The forest seemed to come alive as I neared the cabin, the rustling leaves sounding like hushed whispers, the distant calls of the nocturnal creatures echoing like ghostly warnings in the still night. The moonlight filtering through the dense foliage cast an unsettling glow on the cabin, making it seem even more sinister. I could feel a chill run down my spine as I approached the cabin, a sense of dread washing over me. It felt as though the forest was holding its breath, the once whispering leaves falling silent, the nocturnal creatures retreating into the shadows. It was as if the forest itself was aware of the horrors concealed within the cabin and was warning me of the terror that awaited. Every step towards the cabin felt like a step towards an abyss of unknown terrors. The silence was almost unbearable, the anticipation of the horrors that lay ahead threatening to consume me. But I had a mission to accomplish, a kidnapper to apprehend, and possibly a life to save. As I approached the cabin, a bone-chilling feeling gripped me. It was as though the forest itself was warning me of the horrors that awaited. I instinctively drew my weapon, slowly pushing the cabin's creaky door open. The air was stale, heavy with the scent of damp wood and a mix of something else, something far more sinister. The remnants of the day's light struggled to pierce through the grime-streaked windows, casting long, distorted shadows that danced and flickered in the gloom. As I ventured further into the belly of the cabin, the sense of dread grew stronger. It was like stepping into the lair of a beast, the air thick with the anticipation of the unknown. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional groan of the old wooden structure, a ghostly lament in the stillness of the night. In the dim light, I could make out a small, grimy room. The sight that met my eyes was something no amount of training could have prepared me for. Huddled in the corner was a child, a grotesque figure, barely recognizable as human. Its clothes were tattered rags, its face smeared with grime and what looked disturbingly like blood. The child's eyes glowed with an unnatural feral light, and its hair was matted and wild. Its gaze was focused on a shapeless mass in its hands, tearing at it with a savage intensity that was chilling to witness. I felt my heart hammering in my chest as I took in the scene, the horrifying realization hitting me like a punch to the gut. This was no ordinary child. This was a creature born of unimaginable horrors, a reflection of the monstrous individual who had stolen it away from the safety of its home. As the reality of the situation sank in, I knew I had to tread carefully. This child, this feral creature, was just as much a victim as the ones who had not survived. Its trust, if it could be won at all, would not come easily. I had to remember that behind the wild, animalistic exterior was a child who had been subjected to unspeakable cruelty. The child's eyes glowed with an unnatural feral light, and its hair was matted and wild. The child was devouring something unidentifiable, tearing it apart with a primal ferocity. The sight that greeted me was horrifying. In the dim light of the cabin, I could make out a small form huddled in the corner, its movements wild and erratic. The child, no more than 10 years old, was a grotesque sight. Its clothes were ragged and torn, barely covering its thin, wiry frame. Its hair was a stark contrast to its pale, dirt-streaked skin, but what struck me the most were its eyes, glowing with an unnatural light. They held a chilling mix of fear, defiance, and something far more predatory. The remnants of a half-devoured creature lay at its feet. This was the kidnapped child I had been searching for, now a wild being molded by years of torment and deprivation. It emitted a growl, exposing teeth stained with gore. The sound, so devoid of humanity, sent shivers down my spine. The child hissed, its voice a chilling whisper in the silence of the cabin. "You, not mine to eat." The words, though barely coherent, were a clear warning. Forced to survive in a world of darkness and depravity, this child had been turned into a beast. Yet in its eyes I saw a glimmer of something else, a flicker of the child it once was, buried deep beneath the layers of savagery. This was just the beginning of a long harrowing to rescue this child from its monstrous existence and help it reclaim its stolen childhood. I knew I had to tread carefully. This was not a normal criminal. This was a primal, ruthless being that had been molded by years of brutality. The challenge of gaining Emily's trust was like nothing I had ever faced. This was not a case of good versus evil, but a battle against the horrors of a stolen childhood. Each day my approach was slow and measured. I started by leaving food outside the cabin, trying to show her that I was not a threat, but a source of safety and sustenance. I would sit at a safe distance, talking softly to her, telling her stories of a world beyond the forest, of a life where she would be safe, loved, and cared for. There were setbacks, of course, moments when Emily would lash out, her fear and confusion manifesting as aggression, but I didn't let that deter me. I understood that her reactions were not a reflection of her true self, but of the atrocities she had been subjected to. With each passing day, I could see small changes. The wild look in her eyes started to soften. She began accepting food from my hand, her growls subsiding into wary silence. I continued to speak to her, my voice a constant soothing presence, a stark contrast to the harsh world she had known. This was a test of endurance, of patience, and of courage, but above all it was a test of humanity. The strength of the human spirit, its capacity for resilience and adaptability, was being put to the ultimate test. This was a child who had been forced to become a beast, and it was my mission to help her reclaim her humanity. The rescue was not a single heroic act, but a series of small victories. Each step forward was a triumph, a testament to the power of compassion and perseverance. It was an arduous journey, but one that was worth every effort, every struggle. I brought food and warmth, slowly chipping away at the feral facade, and with each passing day, I could see Emily emerging from the shell of the creature she had been forced to become. In time, I managed to rescue Emily from the dark depths of her captivity, offering her a chance at a life beyond the horrors of the forest. These words echo in my mind, a stark reminder of the chilling ordeal I faced as an FBI agent on the hunt for a serial kidnapper. This was no ordinary case, and Emily was no ordinary victim. She was a child transformed into a wild creature, a mirror image of her captor. The sight of her, crouched in the corner of that grimy cabin, will forever be etched in my memory. Her haunting eyes, glowing with a feral light, her hair matted and wild, her face smeared with dirt and blood. The child was a living embodiment of the horrors that lurk within the hearts of some individuals. But Emily was also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the unimaginable horrors she had endured, she had survived. She had adapted, become something other, something primal to survive. And in her eyes, I saw not just fear and wariness, but a spark of hope, a spark that I vowed to nurture and protect. My mission was not just to rescue Emily, but to help her reclaim her humanity. This was no easy task. The feral child was wary, untrusting. But slowly, with patience and compassion, I started to see changes. Emily started to trust, to understand that not all humans were monsters. As I reflect on this harrowing experience, I'm reminded of the darkness that exists in the world. But I'm also reminded of the light, the potential for change and healing. Emily's journey is far from over. The road to reintegration into society is a long and challenging one. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt and fear, but I believe in Emily. I believe in her strength and resilience. I knew it would be a long and difficult journey to reintegrate her into society, but I was determined to help her heal from the unspeakable trauma she had endured. And so, our tale of the Campfire Horrors comes to an end. Until next time, sleep tight. Before we part ways, dear viewers, remember to stay vigilant. The campfire horrors may have been extinguished for now, but the embers of the unknown always remain. As you lay down to sleep tonight, don't forget the lessons from our tale. Safety is but a fleeting moment in a world of unseen. So, if you've enjoyed this journey into the abyss, don't forget to ring that bell and smash that like button. Do it before the thing under your bed decides to pay you a visit. Oh, and keep those night lights on. You never know what might be lurking in the dark. Thank you for embarking on this terrifying adventure with us, until our paths cross again in another tale of the unknown. Goodbye and sweet dreams, if you can.